So, good morning, everyone. My name is Gaurav Batra, founder and CEO of Cyberfrat. Thanks for joining us in this amazing session and a roundtable, breakfast roundtable on achieving growth with AI-driven enterprise. So, as part of CXO Junction, we try to get the challenging points or the discussion point for the CXOs which they are facing in their day-to-day life, and if they are looking for any solutions, any kind of discussions, or how the industry peers are doing these, implementing those things. So we try to bring them together in this forum and have a discussion with our partners. So the topic for today is achieving growth with AI driven enterprise. To drive that discussion, we have invited our partner and experts from the industry, Juniper Network. So, Juniper Network is leading the revolution in networking, making it one of the most exciting technology company in Silicon Valley, India. Juniper's role mission has been to create innovative product and solution that meet the growing demand of the connected world. With Juniper Networks, we have Inspira Enterprise India Limited. They are headquartered in Mumbai and have satellite offices in Pan India, Singapore, UAE, Africa, and USA with team of over 500 professionals. Their expertise lies in cybersecurity, networking, and data center, smart solution that comprises of smart city solutions, ITMS, and digital healthcare and ensures a single platform exclusively dedicated to next-gen digital transformation, blockchain, big data analytics, and cloud computing technologies and managed services. So I think with these partners and having experts from them, so we have Keval Patil, technical lead, West Juniper Network from Juniper as SME, and we have Dominic De Silva, pre-sales head, Inspira Enterprise India Private Limited, to have give the insights from the industry on this topic. And also in this discussion, we have invited our CIO friends, Rajeev Khade, Global Head IT, Sigma Electric Manufacturing Corporation. We have Tejas Shah, CTO, Kalpataru Group Company. We have Atul Kirane from CIO ISMT Limited. And also to take this discussion forward, we have invited special guest Raja Prabhu. He's Director Operations India IHT Limited and has been doing a great work in the industry in the digital transformation and AI journey. So definitely we will love
Hi.
to have your view and overall discussion. So I know Raja sir, as you have 10 minutes and to start the discussion with you, I will love to hear your thoughts, like what you have been doing in digital transformation and how the artificial intelligence you think the future and way beyond in the present scenario. So your thoughts will be important to us, and so I would like to start with you first.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for the wonderful introduction, and greetings all the guests. Yes, I look at it slightly different. AI is not the future. AI is the present. It's already there. So we are still trying to adapt to it. That's what I, as a consultant, look at it. Um, Having said that, how do we adopt AI in our current situations, or how do we look at digital transformation into the AI as a platform itself? See, there is a lot of learning that we need to do before we really adopt AI into our day-to-day operations itself. But in a very general form, let's say, while you say AI, even if you have already got a smart parking solution or a parking solution adopted in your place, it's already AI. It is already learning and it is getting trained every day before it is going to, do its job by itself. Today, if you look at it, majority of the offices or majority of the campuses or majority of the places have a visitor management solution, which has got a self login system and a self logout system. That also is a part of AI. So a lot of small things like this is what will add on and become an AI, and then it starts learning itself and becomes a sustainable automated solution. So that's how we look at it as a consultant. So every small bit of it adding and coming together is going to make AI platform a very strong platform. So that's how we look at it at this point in time. So AI is not the future. I would say AI is already there and it is in the present. And people like the biggest requirement of AI is data collection and bandwidth. The moment you have that in your space, which means you're already fit to go on a platform straight away. That's how I look at least.
Sure, I think that that's a great input, Prabhu sir. So maybe I'll ask Keval as well, to, from to set the context of this topic, and if Prabhu sir has something to add, and then I will go to my CIO friends and start asking them the discussions on this. So Keval, if you can, provide some insights and context to this topic, so that will be great to have a head start.
Sure. Thank you, Gaurav. And I must thank Raja sir also, like he nailed it right in the first sentence. AI is not the future, it is the present. And what I'll speak from Juniper point of view, obviously, Juniper perspective or a network perspective in a larger way. What Juniper calls our AI solution is an experience first solution, because the most important part of this architecture is not the Wi-Fi, it's not the switch, it's not the router or any kind of network device. It's the end user, and that the end user experience. And again, as Raja sir already mentioned, like AI uses a huge data set. So for us, the data set is the number of clients connected to it. And like we take almost 250 states of the Wi-Fi device, even before it has logged into the actual wired network. Even as it is connecting the beacon intervals and all those things, we start collecting that information. So yes, AI and ML are the buzzwords today, and we are here to have a discussion on the same. So join us to see how AI can help our customers help their customers.
Sure. Thanks, Keval. Thanks for setting up the context. So, yeah, let me quickly start. So, I think this is a breakfast meet, and all of us has our breakfast with us, right? So, I will ask everyone to take this and start munching, and let's start the discussion. So, my first question for all my friends here will be, so first thing I will like all of you to introduce yourself in 1 minute, like okay, what is your role, what do you actually like, and as we are having this discussion virtually, we have our breakfast, but in your real time zone, what is your favorite place and where you will love to have this breakfast if we would have been doing this physical meet. Yeah. So Rajiv ji, let's with you, if you can give the highlight on in your day-to-day life, how you see your business is getting digitally transformed, and what your thoughts about it, and if yeah, breakfast where we'd like to have, and if you can give more insight about you and your role to this group.
All right. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. And uh, special thanks to Gaurav, because he arranged such a very beautiful meeting, online meeting. But it as it feels that we are together, and it's really a breakfast meeting because the breakfast arrived just in time. So breakfast along with the discussion is a very pleasurable thing. Myself, Rajeev Khade, I am working as Vice President Global Information Technology for a company called Sigma Electric Manufacturing Corporation. We are purely a manufacturing company, having almost 10 plus manufacturing plants in India and several other manufacturing plants in Mexico and US. So this is purely a kind of export-oriented unit. So whatever we manufacture, we export it out to our own warehouse in Americas. And that's the manufacturing scenario setup business operations. And as far as the topic of today's discussion is concerned, I fully agree with what Raja said and what Keval also said. AI is not the future. AI is already there in the bloods of each and every one of us. If you ask almost 4 5 years back, then AI, IoT, all these things were kind of buzzwords, but this is the need of the hour, and that is what every industry is now using it. The latest technology is already put in use. And as far as usage of these technologies and the digitalization at our organization, we have made a substantial progress in this field. And thanks to Corona, I'm saying thanks to Corona because Corona led us to think differently. Although it had a great impact on our lives, but it also at the same time gave us an opportunity to think differently. And that is what we did at Sigma. And we started thinking as to how we can enhance the business process, how we can optimize the business process and add value to the business. So that's how we started. Earlier it was challenging for us, but later on when we did, we in the sense the IT department did the homework as to how each and every process can be automated, can be digitalized, can be made use for business purposes, and what will be the addition to the business, not only making the digitalization a process that digitalizes, but what will be different when we implement these technologies. That was the core thinking. And we prepared the kind of project schedule, each and every process, how do we automate, how do we digitalize, and then went to the business saying that this is what we can do for you. Earlier there was a pushback, but now the situation has turned totally. Now there is a pullback, pull up technology, because every operational head or the user departments are coming forward and saying that we want to automate this, we want to automate that. So that has played a very different turnaround role, and that's what we are implementing. Lot many digitalization and automation projects we are implemented, and still it is on the way. It is not the end. We are going ahead with implementing more and more, and that is going to be very beneficial for the business. So this is what, Gaurav, I feel to set the context and my views on the opening. Over to you, Gaurav.
Yep, very, very well, driven. It's like Corona has, brought the digital revolution in India, in the world as well, and organizations are working towards more to the automation. So, Tejas will like to have your view on the same. And Rajiv, you forgot to mention which restaurant is your favorite one. Uh,
Yeah, sorry for that. I'll not say restaurant because I have traveled all parts of the world in the last 30 35 years of my experience. So the good place to have a restaurant, but only the good place to have the restaurant will be with my dear friend Gaurav. So in person, I would like to have the breakfast. So that will be the best place to have dinner. It's not any five-star hotel or something like that.
Soon, soon, sir,
So
soon. So you are invited to my home as well, and let's
yeah,
have a
yeah.
discussion
So
about
that will be the heaven
at
for
home
me.
food, or I'll be at with your place soon.
Yeah, yeah. So that will be the heaven for me to have the breakfast with Gaurav, my dear friend, with whom I have been interacting for last 2 or 3 years.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Tejas.
Yeah. Hi, good morning. Thanks, Gaurav, for beautiful breakfast. Um, so myself, Tejas Shah, I am a CTO for Kalpataru Group, SSL Limited. Uh, on a digital and RPA, we have started a journey well before this pandemic, and good, it helped us in the pandemic a lot. So we did our account reconciliation, then our CCTV camera on AI based. So this journey has helped us. So now we are evaluating how much we are saving on the technology and even on the physical security cards where we had a CCTV, and how we can uh, get theft or things happening. So that has helped a lot. And RPA and this journey is still going on. We are looking each and every department wherever the human intervention is not required and as per working for the SOP, and wherever we can put, and where the business logic doesn't change so frequent, so we are definitely putting RPA as a one of the technology to be used. So as a Kalpataru group, we are very much in all the 5 group companies, we have implemented lots of projects on RPA. If I can discuss in detail, like few of them which we have achieved a milestone is a account reconciliation, where we had a 12 or 15 banks where we get a different customers payment, and reconciliation was a very uh, tough job, and this was done by 2 accounts people. It used to take 23 days, but now within half an hour we get the entire report. This is what I can say. This has helped a lot achieving this.
Yeah. Really great case study of the RPA and the
Yeah,
that
this is the one of
report
the
fast tracking. Yeah.
yeah. So this has
Okay.
really helped us a lot because otherwise, manually on a 12 banks, you have to log in, you have to see which payment partly 50% advance or it's a balance payment and all this. Everything has been covered and it takes just half an hour, 23 minutes basically, and the entire sheet is ready. So technology, definitely we are adopting the latest technology. We see which technology is best and which we can go ahead and we can utilize for our business. So I
Sure.
think that
Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Tejas, for setting the context. So, yep. So, my favorite question again, which is your favorite restaurant? You didn't mention about the same.
So one my battery is dying, but definitely my favorite restaurants are many. One is Cine Masala in BKC, then Govinda's in ISKCON. So we in Mumbai
Okay.
we are foodies, and
Govindas.
definitely there are few street foods also which
Okay.
like a lot, which is in Parla, Bajaj, and Mitibai. We go for
Correct.
butter vada pav and lots of other things, different.
Yes, Mumbaikar and Vada Pav, if they are not taking the name, then it doesn't make any sense, right? Vada Pav is the must to have. But yes, Tejas, please put your laptop on battery. I need you for full 1 hour. Okay. So thank you. Yeah,
I'm
please.
actually leaving by 10:15 because we have one budget meeting. But by 10:15, okay, I just charge my this.
Okay. Try to, yeah, be there as
Sure.
much as possible. Please put it on the charging. So yes, uh, we have Atul.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Gaurav. I'm audible?
Hi, Atul. Yes,
Yeah.
but we can't see you.
Why? I
You're
put
not
my
able to
camera
see
on.
you. Okay. I don't
I'm
know,
able
but
to see
it's not.
myself. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
yes, sir. Since I was seeing my image, I thought ki everybody is able to see me.
No,
That's
not able
what.
to see you yet.
Okay, let me see. Okay. So thanks, Gaurav, for arranging this wonderful session. Early morning session is always welcome because I start at 8:30 in the morning in office. So being working in a manufacturing industry and last 2 years in this COVID scenario and all, except a couple of months, we have always been in office sharp at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. So we really didn't feel much difference in terms of working conditions during the COVID period. Being in the manufacturing industry and a continuous process industry, we basically manufacture seamless tubes and carbon and alloy steel. That is a primary business. We have around 6 factories in Maharashtra, all around Pune. And we also are having group companies which have diversified into aerospace and some part defense manufacturing. So these factories are based in Hosur in Tamil
Okay.
Nadu, but near Bengaluru. So I look after all these group operations. So basically, during this COVID scenario, the cultural change which came in our organization was metal industry. Generally, the average age of the senior people is very high because these are all technocrats who work for a long number of years and they generally don't like to retire. So all our management staff and everything are all like 70, 75 plus, but they were very active even during the COVID period. So the benefit which I got during COVID was they got an opportunity to relook at the technology that we have deployed in our organization. So there was a lot of demand from the management for me to brief them about all the latest technologies, the AI, RPA, the Industry 4.0. So that was one important benefit which I could take from COVID. Otherwise, work condition wise, there was not much difference for us. We all were in office all the time. But there was a relook from the management as to what can we do about using this new technology. So I conducted a number of presentations for them during this period, and then we
Okay.
started our journey on Industry 4.0 in a very big way. So now we are working with multiple IoT partners and doing a lot of process automation in the assembly lines and our factory locations. So most of the days, like 15 days in a month, I am at factory locations implementing some project or the other. So that is one of the biggest benefit I could see. The management could appreciate the benefit of Industry 4.0, and now we are driving this initiative across the entire group, including other group companies also. So that is one major benefit I would like to highlight. Coming to the IT infrastructure, we always have been using Juniper products, although they are now quite legacy products. We have not upgraded for a long time, but they are one of the best of the breed products. So our firewall, SSL VPN, we use Juniper, and we are very satisfied with this product. So now it's time to upgrade. So we are just planning how we can take this ahead. So I'm looking forward to some interesting discussions on SD-WAN and zero trust network technologies. So
I
coming back
already
to
see a
your
smile
last,
on Keval's face.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
coming back to your last question, being a foodie, there are a lot of names I can say about my favorite restaurants. And being a Punekar, I can't miss the Puneri misal. So misal is one of the most
Okay.
favorite food items in Pune, and there are a number of joints in Pune. So I would wonderful Puneri
Uh,
misal.
Great,
Thank
Atul.
you. Thanks,
Thanks for
Gaurav. Thanks.
great insight. I have a lot many questions for you on Industry 4.0 and how you are making those IoT devices segments and
Sure.
lot of things. But I will come to you
Glad
in
to
the
share.
discussion. We will do a deep dive in those. And
Definitely.
Dominic and Keval, I will be coming to you in 2 or 3 minutes. But before that, Raja Prabhu sir, it's like how you see this transformation happening, because you have been working on different projects and different leaders you are working with. So overall in the industry, what you see is the trend, and how the change, maybe you said AI is present, and then what you see in future and overall digital transformation, what's your point of view on that?
Okay. Coming to AI itself, like we said, AI is already there in the present. And what everybody is looking at today is creating a special experience using AI. That's what is the main forte of many of the people. Like Rajeev sir was saying, that they have transformed a lot of production lines into automation. They're adopting new kind of things to see how they can quickly get things, make it faster. Like Tejas sir was saying that majority of their back end works have become from days to hours or days to minutes actually.
Yeah.
So while we are looking at it, that's a very very fast thing to move on. So I would like to quote a small experience that we are building for one of our customer. This is something which we are working with the client together. So, like Mr. Cable was saying, it's all about experience, right? What you get out of the whole thing after adopting into your space. So, one of my client or one of our clients came to us asking, what is the best experience that you can build for our team? So we built a complete video and we had shared it to the client, which is in construction currently, which is not come out fully. So while we say an experience, it's like we have gone to the level of your favorite question of what would you like to eat, right? Or what is your
Yeah.
favorite restaurant? We had gone to the extent of getting the visitors' favorite dishes and that being served as a surprise for them in their meeting time. So that's the level of automation that we have gone, and all this happens not with any human interruption at all. We have gone to a level of sending a QR code to a visitor while he's coming to the meeting, and he does not even need to call anybody. He just shows the QR code and the access is given. The security does not even ask him who you are. He just gets an access and he just the boom barrier opens, he comes and his parking lot details are sent to him. There is no need for him to ask, boss, where is my parking lot? Or today, majority of the time, if you go to a place where there are a lot of offices, finding out which office you're going and their parking itself is a big headache. What we have done, we have gone to an extent of making sure that the parking lot mapping is gone to his mobile and he just self drives himself to the space, parks it. By the time he parks, the lift is available for him. The lift is coming and waiting for him to take him to the floor, even without him going and touching the button. He goes to the floor, his visitor pass is ready, his meeting room booking is sent to his mobile saying this is the meeting room, and the navigation for his meeting room from the reception to the meeting room is already sent to his mobile. So there is no need of a person coming and guiding him to the meeting room. So he goes to the meeting room, he sits, he has his meeting space is ready with video conferencing or with whatever presentation he wants to do. All that is set up. In this meanwhile, the person whom is coming to meet in the place is already intimated that the visitor is come the moment he is parked in the parking lot. So the person is also in the space. You just get access, go inside, do your meeting. In the meeting, as a surprise, he gets his favorite dish served to him on the table in front of him. So that's the level of automation that today a client is requiring. Forget about us giving them. So that's the level
Yeah.
of automation that they are requiring. So for us to do all this, what happens is the backbone is very, very important. And having a very strong backbone, like a network, a strong network becomes very, very evident. So that way, I think, yeah, Juniper team jumps in and they help us do a lot of work with the back end. We keep talking to their team, asking them, and actually we keep troubling them a lot and asking them, I should say, saying, why can't you guys do this? So yeah, that's a nice trouble to have at the end of the day. So we always enjoy, trying and do a brainstorming session with people like you guys and teams like you. So, what happens, it helps us also become better consultants at the end of the day. We also, like, these kind of things we will not be doing if there is no demand for it, right? Even though there are technologies available, if nobody is buying it, why will I even go and suggest? So that's how it is at the end of the day. But yeah, it's
Sure.
a very, very good transformation taking place. But what we are also trying to do is we are not trying to push everything to everybody. We are trying to see what is adoptable to them and what will really help them and what will get an ROI. Return of investment becomes a very big part in the whole of discussion. And whatever gives them the best ROI is the technology that we suggest to the client. We don't just suggest everything to anybody. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. ROI, that's a very valid point you have taken in. And when we talk about ROI, so I think one of the major thing is any organization spends money is on the marketing to get. So AI is playing an important role in marketing as well. I'll just like to share my personal experience. I have been working with the Mondelez International, that's Cadbury, and they are one of the biggest marketers in the India. That if you, I don't know if anyone of you have seen that YouTube advertisement where wherever you are in India, whatever city you are, once you play that ad, they will show you the local places nearby in that advertisement. Okay, so that one of the biggest the data based advertisement anyone in the industry did. And one thing which we have implemented during my days in Mondelez in Birmingham, we have Cadbury World. So it's like Cadbury World is like how we have here big bazaars or things. So what we did is in Cadbury World, we planted the sensors all over and panel screens on each products. Okay, so if the customer walks in, the sensor is looking at their behavior. And let's say that if you see a dairy milk chocolate, you look at that for 1 second, then you see a Bournvita product, then you see a Halls, and then you see Toblerone, and you thought, okay, I want to buy it. And sensor will sense you have spent more time looking at Toblerone compared to other products. Immediately on each panel, the Toblerone ad will start coming in. And that is how the AI with IoT will see your behavior and then market you the product. So that's like online, it's already happening, but in the real world, in the real time, you are looking into and they are judging that if you are liking this product or not, and then they are putting that in your mind. So I think AI is going to be a big way. But yeah, taking from here, Dominic, I will like to hear your view, what you see in the industry, what's happening, and how your clients or you yourself is doing it. And maybe Keval, after that, you can conclude this topic. And yeah, Dominic, you're on mute.
I think my breakfast has come, Gaurav. Just give me a minute. Let me just pick it up.
Sure, I'll go to the Keval then in that case. Yeah.
So many interesting points raised by all the panelists and you yourself as well as Raja sir also. So the best part about this Wi-Fi or AI-driven enterprise is that the applications are limitless. It's really what is the use case? what is the imagination of the people who are deploying that, and what is the end result that can be looked at from customers' point of view. So there is no one thing or two things or five things that can be done. There are 10, 20, 30 things. Like for example, Atul sir was talking about location, right? Location tracking, or people coming into a meeting and
Sorry, Keval, sorry to interrupt. I may have to leave now, Gaurav. I will leave now. Maybe in the next 15 minutes, I'll hop back in while I'm driving. Okay? You guys,
Sure.
thanks a
Thanks,
lot.
thanks for joining in and looking forward to have you back. Yeah.
Thank you, Keval. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Raja.
Thank
sorry.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye. I'll see you guys back again. Bye.
yeah. So as I was saying, Raja sir mentioned one thing about wayfinding and digital engagement. Basically, again, you talked about Gaurav talked about the customer behavior, especially in a retail environment. So when there's a builder or a real estate developer coming up with a public place like a mall or airports or something like that, we have something called as dwell time. Okay, so that is the amount of time a customer dwells in a given geolocation or geo area. That could be in front of the store or storefront. It could be inside the store. Let's say for a building, you can use it as a security mechanism. Where if in a particular area, no one is supposed to be there or is not supposed to be there more than 5 minutes. And if a person is seen loitering around that same given area, which can be marked humanly, more than 5 minutes or more than 10 minutes, an alert can be sent to the network monitoring system, and through there to an actual physical security system like an alarm or something, so that that can be triggered. So that's a real world use case that we can do. Secondly, things like inventory management. In a plant, let's say we have deployed one of the largest networks in digital in a electric scooter customer in India, and there they use asset management or inventory management to track their scooters if they are lying in a certain area where they're not supposed to be. Like after the process of assembling them happens, they're supposed to be put in a parking lot from where they would be taken out for distribution or for selling. If within a certain amount of time a scooter doesn't reach there with their VIN number or their MAC address or their RFID tag, that can be sent as an alert saying this number material is not present. Or if it can be seen in some other part of the campus, then an alert is sent that this VIN number is found somewhere else, like that. So as much as human beings can put their mind to it, whatever is the logic you can use or the use cases you can think of, it's very simple to do that. Yes, you will need some sort of coding or API, development, but I think those are already there, and the people who are looking for to it will definitely know where to get those resources from. Also, as Atul sir mentioned about Industry 4.0, there is a lot of talk that we are getting from our customers for IoT, that is IT and OT convergence, and including security. So that IT OT convergence is another major thing that we are seeing already happening. Some people have already started on the journey. Some people have completed maybe phase one. Some people are thinking about it. But yes, that is definitely there in the mind of all the CXOs in the manufacturing sector. So you can see that from retail to manufacturing to IT, ITES services, government agencies, everyone and anyone can use these AI-driven technologies. That's what I think.
Well, very well, greatly concluded, Keval. So quickly coming to you, Dominic. I hope you find your breakfast amazing. That looks good.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
sorry for the delay actually, but nevertheless, it came on time during the session.
Okay.
So
Yes.
yeah, so thanks. Keval chipped in on my behalf to take the inputs, but I just wanted to add on to what Keval said to the folks. Okay, yeah. See, while we are talking about AI, okay, and we are talking about humongous amount of data, because we need to build valuable insights around it, there comes a need in terms of getting those insights into visualization dashboards. If you don't have these data interpreted in a way where you want to have projections where you can make predictive decisions, it's not it won't be it'll be futile, in fact. And humongous amount of data making meaningful insights is the need of the hour. And that brings about because many of my uh, peers here, the customers here are in line of manufacturing, and I've heard even about industry 4.0. So IT and OT, or is the buzzword, okay? Because we have data which is in line to IT, we have data in line to OT. But when we do this convergence and we need to have visualization dashboards, that's the key, because we've been associated with a couple of customers in terms of how I can bring a common dashboard which will help me provide both the information in terms of IT and OT, and they can do meaningful insights around it. And there are conversations around that aspect as well. Having said that, yes, the backbone has to be robust in nature to capture all this information. You need to have a good tool to get the insights in the formation, in the form what you want to do it, and then obviously get the dashboards and then take insights around it. So that's one aspect which couple of folks must have already gone into that journey, but nevertheless there are discussions around that, and we help customers in terms of providing solutions around that as well. Having said that, when we talked about the networking piece, and Keval touched this in detail. From a networking standpoint, in fact, Prabhu sir also spoke about it earlier, where if the network has those provides those meaningful insights in terms of to provide see automation. When we're talking about network automation in the network aspect is a crucial factor, and that will reduce, because I heard Tejas was also speaking about automation, RPA and things like that. A crude method of a basic network, and when we bring automation and reduce the touch time, the predictive failures and analysis around it to reduce those, all those things help if you have a robust network which can give you that insights. With Juniper, because we've been working with Juniper for almost a decade now, being partners to them, they have those technologies, and we help customers adopt that technologies in that perspective. In fact, we've got successful implementations done on that aspect with their marvelous solution which we deployed, okay, for the customers. And that's really meaningful in terms of bringing this automation also in a crude element like network. And then we try to reduce these overheads in terms of much more manual errors which can happen, because people are managing those networks, and we have to pinpoint in a complex network where could the fault lie. But when you have all these informations associated to it, it really helps you reduce all these manual over errors, and brings about the resolution at a much faster pace, because that's the need of the hour. So what I could say, adding to the point, is one is the IT/OT convergence and the dashboards which are required for it. Second is the automation in a crude element of networking aspect as well, by which we can reduce manual errors and bring out more insights in terms of faster resolutions.
Amazing, Dominic. I think you have, in nutshell, you have could put together, how the incorporate AI going to be used. So IT, OT environment definitely, but network, that is the point which you have mentioned. And many people at this point of time is, are already thinking towards that, how to bring AI and automation in the network. So let me go back to my CIO friends here, and maybe Tejas, I know you said you have a board meeting at 12, 10:15, but I will like to have, for you with some of the more time. But let me start with you. As you said, earlier, that you have done a lot of automation in your environment from the back end operations. And how helpful was the network, and what was the role of network in that? What kind of transformation you done in that area, and was it a manual version or a automation? So whatever your story about the network transformation, you love to hear from you.
So basically, you see, this we have done for the finance department. So definitely, this is all in-house in a corporate office. So network is not an issue there. So network comes an issue like one I said with the CCTV camera. So that is in a remote escorts area where we have our few warehouses and few our plants and all that. So there where there is a problem of the network, but that what happens, we have a device which takes the recording in a buffer and then it gets synced with the central device. But other cases in RPA, it is morely for the departments. We basically wanted RPA. One is on automation. Second, our KPI was that we wanted employee to do the productive things, because the same employee is doing the same work throughout so many years. So there will be no enhancement. We didn't wanted RPA to remove the manpower, but we wanted our existing employees. The challenge we were facing when we did the case study, my two finance girls who were doing this reconciliation, they thought their job will be gone now. The things which was taking 23 days, now within half an hour, the report is coming. But we said that we are not doing this. We want you to concentrate in other things. You learn other. We had some cross department trainings also. So we wanted you to learn more things because they were doing from past 7 years the same thing. Which how many which money has come from which customer, which bank account. There was nothing new. And secondly, we wanted an FT count like ROI. We do RPA for the case studies where we have FT count more than 1.2. That is an internal. We do the calculation how much manpower for how many days for this task is taking and how much it is happening in our RPA. So network challenge we have not faced any of the cases because we are not more purely working on the remote locations. On the few locations where there is a challenge that we have done a internal storage and buffering, and then it gets replicated to the centralized system.
So have you already moved to SD-WAN, Tejas? So SD-WAN is already been there, or
SD,
still you are?
SD-WAN, we have done a POC, and
Okay.
we have placed the I think in the next coming year budget we have kept an SD-WAN. I think we have almost finalized the product, but we'll let you know by April only. Definitely
Okay, great.
SD-WAN.
Means if you need any insights or if you have any questions around, then this is the forum. You can definitely. We have Dominic
We
and
did
Cable
it. We
expert
did
has.
POC. We did POC with our network because that is what I wanted. Because I
Okay.
have few users coming through VPN. I had a few users coming through our MPLS and a few users from our broadband connection. So definitely we wanted a mix match, and we have different ISP, Airtel, CP, and all that. I wanted to know
Okay.
exact doing the POC, and we have taken lots of reports on that. Not an issue on this. So I think thanks
Um,
everybody. It was a nice because I have to go for another meeting. Gaurav, definitely thanks for the wonderful breakfast, and next time we'll keep it up. And I think our next cricket event is coming. I think there we'll be meeting the physically.
Yeah, definitely we will meet there. And Tejas, in case if you can join back for last 15 minutes as well, or 5 or 10 minutes, we will love to hear more from you. So in case possible, please join back. Yeah.
Sure. Once this meeting is over, I'll try to connect the same. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye, all friends.
So
Bye,
great.
everybody.
Yeah,
Bye,
yeah,
Tejas.
great insights. So Atul, coming to you. So same thing like in networking in SD-WAN and also in OT environment, what all enhancements you have done and how it's going. So your point of view on that.
Yeah, so basically the challenge we are facing is our factories are in very remote locations. So even today, as we speak, with the multitude of ISPs being available and all, we are struggling with the challenge of getting the right amount of bandwidth, which is a very surprising and shocking scenario, but it is the fact of matter. So, like, we have one factory which is located just 45 kilometers from Pune, but none of the ISPs have any point of presence out there. So
Okay.
we had to do a lot of jugglery, get BSNL convinced to lay a fiber for us, especially then put up a tower in BSNL's whatever that small exchange which is there. We pay some hiring charges to them to just host our tower. So all those kind of things. So we are now progressing further. Now few ISPs have come out but still it is a big challenge. So when we talk about technology like SD-WAN and other things, the challenge is first of all we are not even stable on MPLS. So then thinking of SD-WAN is
Hmm.
a big challenge. So we intend to, but right now we are still struggling with the basic infrastructure. So that is one of the biggest challenge we are facing. Um, as Dominic also said, the IT/OT conversion is the biggest challenge, and being in a manufacturing organization, you can't afford to have lot of investments in IT infrastructure in terms of creating servers and solutions and also. So the next expansion of our Industry 4.0 solution now depends on what kind of bandwidth we will get so that we can host our cloud-based solutions, because the amount of humongous data which is coming out continuously from this, it is physically impossible, to keep on adding capacity at the local environment and then try to get those data collated to the management and provide the visual dashboards which Dominic was addressing. So that's a big challenge we are facing. So right now, although there's a big line of pipeline of projects which we want to execute, but we are doing it very casually, very thinking very silently, because we first want to ensure the infrastructure is in place before we promise the management some solutions which we can't deliver. So that is the challenge we are presently facing. But coming to your question, we have already done the first phase of IoT implementation. So all the predictive maintenance and those kind of stuff, condition monitoring, then the power consumption and those kind of reports, dashboards that are already done. So management is used to it. If at 8 o'clock we don't deliver that, then I get a call before I'm getting ready to office, coming to office. So
Okay.
that's the kind of dependence we have created. So we are now ready for the next phase of implementation, which is version 2.0, which we call internally, where we are taking very specific projects in our assembly lines and shop floor operations, where we are facing certain challenges. So these are very high-end projects where we have done a lot of industrial engineering studies and came out with things and problem statements that can we solve this particular problem which we are presently facing. So these are very highly technical things. If we get time, then I can share at some later time also. But these are very, very focused projects. So the ROIs are very huge. The investments are also very large. So just to cite an example so that to set the context. So we manufacture this seamless tube. So it's a hollow kind of a dimensions, and it
Hmm.
rolls on a conveyor table. So now as the tube moves after the post production in a hot condition, the challenge is we have to measure the length of this tube, and how can we do it automatically. So there we have tried a lot of AI and those kind of solutions. We use some laser based technology, but there are a lot of inequities which are coming in each of these solutions. So we are looking at this kind of solution. So there are a lot of areas where we have identified this kind of very drastic process improvements over the existing technologies which are available, and then how we can add value to the manufacturing processes. This is
Sure.
my view.
I think, yeah, great, Atul. So I have a follow-up question on this. You mentioned a lot about, so of course, you are a way beyond before you move to the SD-WAN, but you said there is something you are looking for cloud adoption, and you have already done some work in the, data analytics world, in the, power consumption and other IoT related stuff.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
how you see your cloud journey and putting up analytics over there. So any insights on that? So where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are and
absolutely. So,
yeah.
yeah, so although our infrastructure is quite legacy, the kind of stack which we have used right from start, it is what you can say, in a sense, cloud ready. So we are one of the companies who are willing to go to cloud. There is no inhibition at all in going to cloud. So we use a lot of open source technology. We don't use a lot of the standard products. So we have very good expertise in Red Hat and those kind of OpenShift and Kubernetes, all those products. We have a very large R&D setup within our IT team. So 4 to 5 projects at any given point of time are happening on these kind of technologies, and we pick up a POC case and then start deploying those solutions. So just to give you data, I have done POCs with almost all the top cloud solution providers to migrate my ERP and all other solutions. We have not
Great.
replaced our on-premise solutions, but we have already done the POCs last 1 or 2 years back. So for data analytics,
Good,
we are
good to know.
ready, absolutely ready. No issue at all.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So means in last 2 3 years you have done so much progress, and in future as well. In like you have a good roadmap for next 2 3 years as well. Good to know. So before I go to come to Rajeev ji, to you, and I will have the same question for you, SD-WAN, cloud, and data analytics. How what you are doing in that space, but Keval or Dominic, you have anything for Atul you want to advise or you want to tell, like in manufacturing, how he can enhance from cloud or network journey? Anything if you have before I go to Rajiv, or if you want to put any remarks on that.
Yeah, so I mean, the salesperson in me almost wanted to jump into the conversation. Atul was talking about.
I knew that trap. I knew that trap is going to be there.
Like that, but I tried to control myself. So
But I'm
actually,
there for you.
thank you, thank you. So actually, what the points what Atul raised are very valid for India situation as well as for the manufacturing industry, where bandwidth in maybe tier 1 or tier 2 cities is still good, but when it comes to tier 3 or remote locations, it is still a lot to be expected. I mean, there are companies who give bandwidth, but they would give lesser bandwidth, and the reliability or the assurance what they would give for that bandwidth is just okie dokie, so to say, at best. So in Juniper, in Mist, what we have done is typically we talk about SLAs, right? Service level agreements. In Juniper, we have something called as SLEs, service level experiences, where we can set thresholds, or a customer can set thresholds based on his specific need. For example, this is related to Wi-Fi. We call it as Wi-Fi assurance. And in that, one of the parameters or SLEs is connection time. So we can say, if according to, let's say, for example, Atul sir, if his organization requires a Wi-Fi connect time of less than 2 seconds, he can set the threshold as 2 seconds. Any device which connects less than 2 seconds will be termed as a successful connect. Any device which takes longer than 2 seconds will be termed as unsuccessful. And there are ways and means how to improve that, whether on the client side, whether on the network side, whether on the AP side, and so on and so forth. Similar SLEs are also there for the SD-WAN solution, which we call as WAN assurance. So there are three pillars, like just to give you the name, Wi-Fi assurance, wired assurance, and WAN assurance. So under this WAN assurance is where the SD-WAN solution and technologies come in. And what Juniper has done is recently, about 2 years ago, we bought a company called 128T. In that, they use a session-based routing protocol rather than a IPsec-based protocol. Now, I'm getting more into the technical aspects, but basically, we lessen the overhead of these IPsec tunnels by almost 30%. So one, it is more efficient for low bandwidth setups like VSAT or 64 kbps or 512 kbps, so on and so forth. Also, we use something called as adaptive encryption, which means if there is, and this is session based, okay, so it's not like all packets are encrypted or all packets are sent in a tunnel. So for a specific session, if that traffic is already encrypted, which means it's, let's say, SSL traffic, or there's some real-time traffic, if it is already encrypted, we don't re-encrypt it. So we do an adaptive encryption, and it's this device, these device senses this on their own. So there are a lot of these things, zero touch deployment, as again Atul sir mentioned, and even I think other people also mentioned that in a remote location it is very difficult for to send people to keep resources, which is a costly affair. So using the zero touch, we can stage it in a central location, put in the basic configuration details in the router, send that router to the remote location. They just have to connect it into the network, power it on, and the basic config is already there. The advanced config can be pushed from the central location. And this SSR technology, or session smart technology, currently we have two flavors. One is on-premise as well as cloud-based. So if customer is thinking about should I go for this or that, we have both flavors available, and they can do a POC for both and then go ahead with what suits them. So these are some of the developments in SD-WAN and how AI and SD-WAN is helping based on these SLE parameters.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So,
Uh,
Gaurav, if I can ask
Great.
a question to Keval,
Sure.
can I go ahead and
Yes,
ask a
please.
question?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
So,
please.
Keval, you mentioned these features in your products like routers, switches, and firewalls. So now what typically happens is in a manufacturing setup, we have multiple service providers where
Right.
we aggregate the solutions. So
Right.
typically, I have seen that whenever we do a POC or we talk about SD-WAN, the managed service space guys come out with the rider that if you have multiple MPLS connections and devices, then we will not be able to give you a managed service kind of a setup. So some
Mm.
component will still remain with you, and some will have to be only these kind of things which are generic will be maintained from our side. So have you seen this challenge in large organizations?
Yes, and actually, this solution and technology which we have is independent of MPLS. In fact, it gives you more bang for your buck if you do it on an MPLS less network, which is your broadband
Okay.
network, VSAT network, or some kind of a legacy network. The only thing we require is a last mile to be on Ethernet from a device
Okay.
perspective. That is the
Okay.
bare minimum. And above that, whatever VSAT or any other technology you use is fine. We can fine tune it, and using the AI behind it, based on a certain amount of data, the longer you run it, it can sense on its own the data patterns. That also gives
Okay.
a benefit on the fly.
Good. Good. Thanks, Keval.
Yeah.
Sure.
This
Thanks, Keval.
gives
Thanks, Atul.
for non-MPLS.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Keval, let
And
us take
also,
you. Sorry, Gaurav.
sure, Atul. I'll connect you with the cable. Definitely, I will. I can give you 1 hour of cable. I will ask cable to go through in detail with you in the
We'll
discussion.
have
Uh,
individual.
so, uh, yeah. So, and also Prabhu sir has joined back. So, Prabhu sir, I will come to you and want to have same question that how is your journey in network, cloud, and data analyst together. So, before you put your thoughts together, Rajiv ji, what's your point of view? And then Dominic, I will ask you to conclude after Rajiv and Prabhu sir's comment so that you can do that. So yeah, SD-WAN, cloud and data analytics, whatever you are doing and what your journey is in this space, we'll love to hear from you.
Yeah, the Gaurav, I should say that the discussion is going very, very interesting. I'm liking it. So before I talk on this, Keval, I would like to connect with you offline and then understand more about what you said just now. Okay, now coming to the point, Gaurav, at the current organization, we are doing a lot of digitalization and automation related projects. In the last 1.5 year, where earlier I was afraid of completing at least 10 or 15 projects, the target was given as 100 projects. So I was
Ah.
totally taken back, saying that, oh my God, how I can do the 100 projects? But as I said, we did a lot of homework, studied each and every process, went around the shop floor, understood the process, understood what are the steps involved. Then we at IT did a lot of homework, process by process, and try to find out how we can add value to it, how we can reduce the number of steps, how we can add value to the business. So that's how we started, and the entire scenario changed from the push technology to the pull technology. And it gives me very pride to say that last week when took the review, we have completed almost more than 461 digitalization projects. So that's the amount of work that we have done, and it is spanning across all the functions. It is not just the operations of the shop floor, but it is across HR, finance, and all those departments are covered. And still, there are more than 164 projects in the pipeline on which we are working. So that is just the background that I would like to quote here, Gaurav. And talking about the networking and the cloud journey. First, let me talk about the networking. See, as the number of application goes on increasing, as the number of devices on the software goes on increasing, for which we have to capture the data, there is a lot of packet transfer from device to device and device to server and everything. So the entire internal network gets heavily populated. There is heavy traffic movement. So for that, what I have initiated is we are trying to separate the office network and the OT network. And separate in the sense that only the office network will travel on those only cables, switches, routers, whatever it is. And the OT network will travel on the separate network. There will not be any kind of intermix or collision or confusion. And this is what I'm trying to implement. I have initiated the project, and this is in other terms called as controls network. Also, some people call it controls network, by which the entire scenario is bifurcated and there is a free flow. And of security point also, this is very important because in the last 1.5 years, we have been witnessing a lot of external attacks, ransomware attacks. So this will also help to segregate the traffic, and from security angle, if at all any attack happens, then it will be restricted to only that endpoint or that shop floor device. So that is what we have initiated. It is going to be a very big project across the organization, not only one premises, but across all the organization. And I would like to have a kind of centralized uh, controlling center, network control center, by which I can, sitting at one place, I'll be able to see the network, how, sorry, how the traffic is flowing in each and every plant. We have so many plants, so each and every plant, how it is flowing. And the alert mechanisms will also be built in. If at all any person tries to attack one particular location, then the alert mechanisms will instantly alert warn the IT people as to something is wrong is happening, and they will go and attend to that. So that is about the network and the security part that we are working about, and about the cloud. See, cloud, just to make a reference, 10, 15 years back, even I had certain doubts. Forget about my CEO or board of directors. I had certain doubts whether cloud is secured or not. So security was always the question that used to come in mind. And that was the time then every CIO, or at least I was having a question, why to move to cloud? If it is not secured, why to move to cloud? Now the entire scenario has changed so much with the help of the service providers and everywhere. Now the same question has to be rephrased in a different manner. And the rephrased question is, why not to move to cloud? Earlier it was why to move to cloud. Now it is why not to move to cloud. And that changed entire thinking process. And 2 years back, we shifted from a kind of semi-hosted environment to a full-fledged public network. And in spite of the lockdown period, we were successful to migrate our critical applications to the cloud. So in lockdown, various restrictions were there, but still somehow we managed that. And the shop floor test we conducted by sending special people to the shop floor. And it has been almost 1 year now that we are successful on the cloud. And now it is the phase wherein, sorry, it is settled and we are going to the optimization phase. How do we optimize the current workload on the cloud? Is there anything that we can do it? Is there anything extra thing that we can eliminate? How we can make the best utilization of analytical capabilities of the cloud? So we are into that phase. And also we are building up a disaster recovery functionality for the site, so that if anything goes wrong on the primary side, then within less than 10 minutes, the secondary site has to take over. So trials are going on. We are successful on those trials. And within a 2 or 3 weeks time, we should be having a full-fledged DR facility. That's what we are working on. And we are trying to, as I said, trying to find out as to how we can make the best utilization of the cloud, analytical capabilities, pushing up the data to the cloud, churning out that data from the cloud, getting the kind of desktop, say, visual analytics of the cloud. And at the same time, we are working on a lot of shop floor, coming back to shop floor initiatives as to what more robotic process automation, low cost automation, we can do it. And I have a roadmap prepared for the organization wherein there are, apart from this infrastructure project, there are various other projects in the pipeline for which at least it will take another 2.5 to 3 years. So the IT team will be sufficient for next 2.5 3 years for various projects, fully engaged in that. And that is how we are working, Gaurav, currently. And we would like to
Yeah,
make our company as the most digitalized and automated company in our vertical. The
amazing.
user experience will be right from the entry point, wherein a external person visitor's car comes in front of the locked gate. So as soon as he comes to the gate, the gate should open automatically, sensing that this is the gas, this is the vehicle number of that person, and then he should have a seamless entry. At the reception, he should have a customized kind of display wherein we will talk about our company and how that our company's product and services will be beneficial for that visitor. So whether it's our customer, it will be customized for his visit. So right from that, we are trying to build the entire digitalized automated process. And on the software, there are many, many projects we have implemented, right from capturing the assets details, the machine details, the details for preventive and other things. So a lot of projects in the pipeline we already implemented. In the interest of time, I cannot tell all each and every projects, but the journey is quite interesting and full of excitement, I can say. So that is what our journey about the software projects, the network, and lastly about the SD-WAN. Still, we are not considered SD-WAN, but now because of the growing number of projects, growing number of locations, definitely we would like to consider that SD-WAN also as a part of our infrastructure improvement project. So that is about our various initiatives and the projects. Gaurav, over to you.
Great. Yeah, you are touching base everything. You are doing something in network, cloud, user experience as well. You mentioned and security. That's a lot of combination. So, Raja Prabhu sir, if you are here and I'm not able to see you, but yeah, if your point of view on cloud journey, security, user experience, and overall, software based networks and everything. So, any thought process on that? Yeah.
I would say, yeah, see, what happens is the majority of the time we are asked this question of how good is cloud or how good is SD-WAN or how good is getting into a user experience. I personally look at it as a simple thing. See, it's all about how you adopt to it. Like what Rajiv sir was saying, they have taken enough of time for analyzing each and everything and then looking at adopting the right solutions for them. Now, this as a consultant, we will not really be able to tell anybody. We can't say this is the exact solution that will work for you. You will have to experience the solution. You will have to adopt the right solution into your framework of the system. Now, yeah, as a requirement, we can say, yeah, this is the best system that you can look at. So in that way, we are like open to speak to anybody about technology. One good thing that we will be able to do is guide them into the right technology. But after we guide them, learning is an experience which they have to go through while they adopt into a new system. For example, let's say you are shifting your complete backbone of asset management into a cloud, for example, let's say. Now, what is the level of asset management that you are looking at currently to what you are going to expect in the next 2 or 3 years is something which is an internal plan which you would not be even wanting to discuss with anybody. But that's something which you will have to guide yourselves into the system, adopt it into the right way. There is enough of solutions outside there and which can do readily. It can give you the experience, but is it really required for you is one major thing that you'll have to be cautious about. The second thing that we always tell our clients or we request our clients is to be very, very cautious about any technology that they go on the security parameters. Now, for example, we are talking about IoTs, we are talking about so many equipments coming while it comes to IoT. Though IoT is being very, very prime into a lot of spaces today, but there are also a lot of security risks that you take while you put in an IoT system into your mainframe business network itself. So we always tell our clients, please don't adopt IoT into your running business network. Keep it a separate system, because tomorrow if your IoT is messing up with you, your main network is still not disturbed. So that part we tell the clients to be very, very cautious about. Uh, these are major things that we have been working on. While it comes to SD-WAN, we are trying to speak to our clients to, understand their requirements coming into SD-WAN. Majority of them are like, still wanting to adopt to it, but they are, still, not very keen on it, or, they are wanting to it's very trials period now. So I don't really have much of thought process on SD-WAN, though I should say.
I think we have lost him. Maybe if he's joining back or something.
No, I was saying, you're able to hear me, Gaurav?
Yeah. Last, I was not able to hear you. I don't know if my network or your network. Yeah, last line. You there? Okay.
Yes, I'm there, Gaurav. You're
Yeah,
able to hear me?
yeah. Yes, I
No,
can hear you now.
I was saying on SD-WAN front, we are still working with our clients. A few of our clients are discussing with us to see what would be the best solutions for them to adopt into it. And majorly, the SD-WAN part is being a big take by our hospitality clients than of anybody else, because
Okay.
for them they need a lot of remote based solutions, which they can adopt, managing their properties in different locations, sitting in a space where they have to centralized management of the space. That's where they are looking at, but still it is not very majorly adopted. So I would say it's still a maturing system, so it may take a little time for it to mature and come to the same level of what we are talking about AI today.
Sure. Thanks, sir, for your valuable input. So maybe, Dominic, I will look forward to conclude this whole topic, network, cloud, and user experience security. So in a nutshell, how you are helping the other clients or your organization. Yes.
Yeah. So it is very well, I've heard all the panelists speaking about their various challenges and what are their thought processes around it. In fact, while we had a discussion, I just wanted to summarize one important parameter which we missed discussing. Okay, and that is very crucial. Heard it by Rajeev sir as well as by Prabhu sir in the latest discussions. Is when COVID struck us, okay, many of our enterprises was not ready for this insurgent, remote working model, because we are all locked in our own premises and we had to get the business going. People took decisions. Some were ready. They envisaged this working style. They were ready, and they were able to basically cater to this insurgent load in terms of working at home rather than working, because we are all very keen to work in an office premises, in a corporate or at a plant or whatever it is. But suddenly when it became home, it became perimeter is out. It's completely
Mm.
it's no perimeter, actually it's complete cloud. Now when that comes in and still you have to get connected, an important aspect of that perspective is security, which was touched in the later discussions, which is very crucial. And if we are not in a position to cater to this security threats, okay, in which will come because of this particular boundaryless, you say, call it, because there's no perimeter actually, and you have to have the connectivity and the work going. That is a very important aspect. And that point in time, if you are not adopting to the right set of security policies, controls to ensure prevention and threat, as well as your data integrity, it becomes big. And we have been able to, help customers in this, because when the first wave struck and we were not ready and customers were not ready, not all, but some were ready, some were not ready. They adopted it to ensure the business, to start the business. But then that called for a lot of introspecting on the security policies in terms of redesigning their security landscape to cater to this load. That's why when the second wave came in, or the third wave, whatever we say, in 2021, it came in, many of the corporates were ready for this journey in terms of a robust security policy, which we have to ensure. So when we talk, and that's why this zero trust and thing, SASE and all these things are, actually the buzzwords now, because people actually look at no trust in terms of security policies when things are boundaryless. and what policies you define from a security aspect to it to ensure that your data is not tampered or not compromised is important in nature. Be it, see, network will give you a backbone, network will give you a connectivity, but the controls lies in the security piece. And if you're not able to manage that, or don't set the right policies for that, there is compromisation of data. I heard from Rajeev sir speaking about IT and OT, and even Prabhu sir said the same thing. Yes, right now when we having conversations with customers, we bifurcate both these traffic separately and have separate security policies adopted for it. So you call it an OT security, you call it an IT security. Sometimes they have convergence are good, but having separate security policies for both to ensure data integrity is not compromised in that perspective. And obviously having valuable insights in terms of getting centralized dashboard is what customers, we help customers in following this particular practice, ensuring that these their data integrity is not compromised or data is not compromised, and proper adaptive controls are defined. So this is very important when we are talking about adopting cloud journey, as well as having a lot of convergence of networks in terms of IT, in terms of OT and things like that. So that this is one thing which, in fact, in the earlier point I missed speaking about, but thanks to the
Sure.
conversations, because because this is very crucial, and we have seen this. If you are not having those right policies in place and right security measures in place with the technology which we are adopting, there is a possibility of compromise of the data perspective. So
So
Sure.
we
that's one
typically call
key.
it as macro segmentation instead
Correct.
of micro segmentation.
Correct, correct. So
Sure.
this is one important aspect which we have to basically see, and I guess we our customers here, like Atur sir as well as Rajesh sir has spoken about it. Rajeev sir has spoken about it, saying that yes, they have defined those particular measures, which is good. In fact, I see a lot of other customers also reaching out to us in terms of defining that particular processes, or those kind of discussions where we can set those relevant security measures for their network or their boundaryless setup, what we call about. So that's very, very crucial in today's journey, because when we talk about cloud, and if you don't have that measures, it is very, very important, because you are paving a way for uh, some loopholes which can get, because when we're talking about IoT or OT or sensors, that can also be a possibility of someone hacking it and getting an entry into your network if you don't have those adaptive controls there. So there are specialized
Fair enough.
solutions for that, which we
Fair
can
enough.
talk about.
Yep, great, Dominic. I think great inputs, and you have covered the missing point very well. And taking the time in consideration, last 10 minutes, I have a very important topic to discuss, and that is what the last is the SASE. So the concept is the SASE the future, and because in SASE we are nutshell in the security, then user experience, network. A lot of things are coming in together. So, Keval, I will like to start with you that if you can elaborate what SASE is to the everyone, and how you think is going to be the future, and what all technologies are getting built in this. So I will take Atul and Rajiv's and Prabhu sir's inputs after that, and then Dominic can conclude. But yeah, Keval, if you can set the context, about the SASE, and take it forward.
Yeah. So see, first thing is SASE stands for Secure Access Service Edge. So all these SD-WAN solutions and IT/OT solutions and cloud managed solutions, what we look at, they are nothing but secure access, or rather security specific access, but at the edge, at the entry point of those services. Like if you talk about Wi-Fi, the entry point is the client. For wired, again, it is the wired client. For WAN, it is the router or the CPE. So at the service edge or at the ingress of that traffic, whatever is the security has to be deployed, monitored, measured. That is what is coming under SASE. And security, as you know, we already know, is ubiquitous. I mean, I can't give a network security solution which is just perimeter security. No longer that is the case. Saving an enterprise from outside threats is as important as saving the organization from internal threats, known as well as unknown. You have your phishing attacks, you have worms, you have so many other vulnerabilities which come up in operating systems, devices themselves, so on and so forth. So internal and external security is also as important as a perimeter security. So this, as I said, SASE is the next level of security, and what Juniper has done is we are uniquely placed to lead into this space. As I already mentioned, the SD-WAN solution, which is secure services routing, takes care of this by using encryption instead of making tunnels. Because one tunnels are static, even if you call it as dynamic for that particular session or that particular interval, the tunnel has to be up when the data is passing. And that adds a lot of overheads on smaller bandwidth networks or networks which are already choked with latency. Like even 4G, for example, if you all know, in today's world, people are talking of 3G, 4G, and 5G, but it is a best effort basis. Like today, if Vodafone has some problem, the 4G will not work fine. I cannot have a SLA on that. Even for enterprises, as a backup, if Vodafone or any other service provider gives a 4G as a WWAN connectivity, it will not give an SLA. It will say it is best effort basis because it's a shared media. The same 4G is given by the same tower to 100,000 and more number of people at a particular given time. So looking at these kind of places from where people are accessing. Secondly, as what COVID has taught us, people can access from anywhere, from any device, from any kind of secured, unsecured network. The concerns about security are rising, and they are all valid concerns. So this secure access service edge is the next level of security, where we can, on the traffic itself, on the data path itself, we do encryption, or encryption needs to be done, whereby security can be provided, data security can be provided at that layer itself. So this SD-WAN solution for us, like, since we are microservices based in the cloud, we can provide that natively from day one. We don't have to put any additional software or hardware for that. Secondly, Juniper has always been at the forefront of security, which itself is all pervasive. And this WAN assurance that we are providing is a key component of the risk profiling solution. Like no matter where we go, even websites today, there is a risk involved with it. If you go to any CISO, he will say, I want to stop all kinds of access for security purposes. But the network operation or the operations team will say, I want to give all access because my survivability in the market depends on that. So it's like it has a loggerheads. Security team says, close all the gates. The operation team says open all the gates. So we have to find a midway in between. So what is done is there's a risk to enabling a function, to enabling cloud, to enabling WAN services. Everything has a risk attached to it. So there is something called as a risk profiling solution. So in this, the Juniper WAN assurance plays a key role, and therefore it brings network security to the distributed edge. In this, what risk profiling does is it provides the visibility into infected wired, wireless, or WAN traffic that can be observed within the Mist cloud. Now, the first concern which seems like, oh, does that mean the traffic actually goes to the cloud and there it is inspected? The answer is no. We actually don't do any in-path or active profiling of the traffic. What is done is metadata is taken from that traffic, that is your header and footer information from the packets, and then that is sent into the cloud. And there, multiple advanced threat protection, ATP, and those kind of functionalities are done. So from within the Juniper Mist cloud, we can actually geospatially locate infected device and take a one-touch mitigation action like banning or de-authenticate that client or that location. Okay, we have few customers in India which are already on the path to doing it. I'm not able to take the name without their explicit approval. So I'll say it is they are in the manufacturing and service provider space. So that is the way ahead. Yeah, Gaurav.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Great. I think you have covered it quite well and taking time in consideration. I think we have maximum 4 to 5 minutes. So, Atul and Rajiv, ji, so 1 minute each. So, what do you think about SASE? And do you think in the organization like yours, it's gonna be a future?
Yeah, obviously, I'll go first. So, as Keval said, that any organization who is embarking on a digital journey, it is impossible for them to ignore SASE framework. So it's just impossible that with the kind of challenges you're facing, remote users are coming in, you have a lot of host of cloud applications which you have to deploy, and you have a lot of multitude of services on premises also. So the future is SASE. You need to adopt SASE framework, otherwise your security will not be tight to what the compliance standards require. So a very important point which Keval mentioned was the risk profile. I wanted to connect that with the typical exercise which each organized does, typically the manufacturing organizations, where they have a risk appetite statement which is in line with the ISO standards. So the risk appetite statement actually guides the kind of risk or the kind of the security breach which a company can, tolerate or accept. So this risk profiling solution which you mentioned can be tied up with these compliance standards so that it becomes a very robust product. So this is one idea which I can share with you. So I think this is the future. The security policy which the organization prepares, that has to be more tuned and refined so that that becomes the base and the standard to deploy the rules under the SASE framework. That is my view.
Okay, great, Atul. Thanks for this concluding and this remark. So, yep, Rajiv ji.
Yes, a very good information insight shared by Keval. I appreciate that very much. And I can say that for at least for any manufacturing industry, the SASE is the future and that is required because as I said earlier, a lot of automation related projects, more and more devices getting connected on the shop floor, a lot of information exchange happens between the shop floor equipments, machines, and with the cloud. So SASE is must according to me because that is going to help you to protect your environment and any slightest loophole or any slightest weak point in your network that can create havoc in the organization. I have several cases with me wherein a single device which was compromised led to the entire shop floor coming down. So we cannot take a risk and security has to be taken with prime consideration and it has to be valued. There is no choice, I can say. There is no option for that. And security, as it said, is not a kind of steps being taken from 1 to 10 and forget about it, is the end of the journey. No, security is a continuous journey. And we as IT heads have to revisit our security portfolio and from time to time take active measures to make our environment more and more stronger. That is the way to keep very robust and sustained in today's environment. So to conclude, I can say that SASE is important. Every organization has to take into consideration that and try to make the entire environment as much secured as possible. Those are my views, Gaurav, on that.
Great, sir. Thanks for concluding it right. So, just a support call for my team, Mohini or Sejal. Tejas is trying to join, but somehow he's getting some issue. Just figure it out. Like, I will love to have his concluding remark as well if he can join back. So, he tried, but not able to. So, Raja Prabhuji, so concluding remark on yours side from SASE and the future of SASE.
It's like, okay, I think Rajeev sir has already said what. If you want to, confidently move ahead and have a uncompromised network, then security terminologies and protocols are very, very important to ensure that you are, having a peaceful network. So if that is something what we are looking at, then yes, SASE has to be looked at very seriously. And it is always good to have a secured space. Like while you are in a secured space, you are always confident about what you're doing. So similarly, if you need a network which is flexible, we are thinking about so many IoTs and AI is coming into space, then security aspect becomes very, very important to ensure that your network or your system is not compromised at any stage. So that way, yes, I would say adoption of SASE and learning through it is very, very important.
Yeah, again, I was on. Okay, again, thanks a lot. And I think, yeah, Dominic, for you to conclude, and Keval, I think after that you can conclude the overall session after Dominic.
Yeah, so as I said, security is of prime importance, and in that perspective, when we're talking about SASE framework, without which it would never, have the complete closure in terms of the security aspect to be, looked at when we are talking about the solutions is what is the need, because that's how we have conversations with customers as well to help them in this journey from a security framework perspective and defining the right security postures and things like that for that. Having said that, we also look about, as I already touched base on in terms of the IT and the OT piece, how do we, segregate traffics but have centralized visualization dashboards for the same. We also talk about various AI and automation solutions which was defined in the earlier discussion, earlier points of discussion. So that's also very key and crucial for this for the need of the hour in terms of bringing in the right set of automations and AI solutions around the network aspect of it, which we definitely work along with Juniper to provide solutions to the customers, because we've seen that going, and we see that being very successful wherever we have strike conversations around that. Okay. Cloud, though we already touched base, so I don't see anything on the cloud aspect to be overlooked at, because cloud is the future, and if you don't talk about cloud, then it is it's history.